రిపన్ ఉందన్నట్టు ఓకేనా ఫుల్ పెట్టా
So we give Manisha the honor. Right, Manisha. Only one sister. So you will be beheading. You do it on behalf of the first week. Yeah, please go ahead.
So please come closer. Come sir.
These are the
badminton folks, Manisha. So you've got to cut this ribbon again. This is no Manisha. Go. Okay. So this was the fourth actually.
నిలబెళ్ళమ్మా no.
Right?
Okay.
Thank you.
coach packaging, but this is. I mean, you see, they want to do like box drills and all. Yeah, drill box and all, but match start.
That's also fine.
Match also, it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
IIT or even
You can't play ITF match. Yeah, you can play.
Actually, Rajiv was saying, can we look at doing ITFs here? I am open to this. We'll see.
Change the price, change the price.
So, the tennis stand.
Come, sir.
Hey guys, get in the picture, get in the picture. Get in the picture.
Come, sir. Okay. Sir, please come front, sir. Okay, sir.
Perfect. That's
So the drill training number level but it's a fantastic. Training
You really hit some balls. Be nice to me. Yeah?
Alright, I'll get one with you after this.
Good luck. The IIT tournament coming up.
You've got a tennis team picture? Next one. What games are taking place here? Huh? What games are taking place? Arul will tell you. Arul is the sports advisor.
coach.
Yes, ready request.
One more, sir.
Wait, sir. Wait, sir. All are done, sir.
Oh,
All are done, sir. All are done, sir. Thank you.
Where are you from?
the guest. No, bro, thanks. What is it?
We will start the event in another 2 minutes. Request all of you to please settle down. Please be seated. Good evening, esteemed guests, professors, students, and my colleague. I'm Praveena from the Office of Alumni and Corporate Relations, your MC for the day. It is my privilege to welcome you all to the inauguration of the Sitara Indoor Sports Complex at IIT Madras. This sports complex is well poised to be a turning point in IIT Madras' history, particularly our sporting legacy. This building is fast becoming an iconic landmark in IIT Madras campus. Once again, a hearty welcome to one and all gathered here to be part of this momentous occasion. I request you all to please rise for the Tamil Thai Varthu, followed by our national song, Vande Mataram.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் வதனமென திகழ்பரத கண்டமிதில் தெக்கணமும் மதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரிதனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம் வியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே 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 வந்தே மாதரம் வந்தே மாதரம் சுஜலாம் சுஃபலாம் மலயஜ ஷீதலாம் சஸ்யஷ்யாமலாம் மாதரம் வந்தே மாதரம் शुभ्रज्योत्स्नां पुलकितयामिनीं फुल्लकुसुमितद्रुमदलशोभिनीं सुहासिनीं सुमधुरभाषिनीं सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरम् Vande Mataram.
Thank you all. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have the privilege of having in our midst exceptional sports personalities who have made our nation proud in the international and domestic arena. It is my pleasure to welcome them to take their seats on stage. Please give a round of applause to Ms. Manisha Ramdas, Paralympics badminton player and bronze medalist at the 2024 Paris Paralympics. Mr. Somdev Devarman, former tennis player, Davis Cup representative and Padma Shri awardee. Mr. Sharat Kamal, 5 times Olympian in TT and Padma Shri awardee. I now welcome on stage Professor V. Kamakoti, Director IIT Madras, Mr. V. Shankar, Chairperson IIT Madras Alumni Charitable Trust, Professor Ashwin Mahalingam, Dean Alumni and Corporate Relations, IIT Madras. Deliver the welcome address and share the extraordinary vision behind the Sitara Indoor Sports Complex.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome Sharat, Manisha, and Som to IIT Madras and thank them for coming to this inauguration. And I'd like to welcome you all also for the inauguration of this sports complex. I was just making the point that when people think about sports, they don't think about IIT Madras. But those of us who've been at IIT Madras know how seriously we take sports. Inter-IIT or even inter-hostel competitions are about the most, the most closely fought encounters that would put all of their Olympic and sort of international achievements to shame, at least in terms of the attitude we show, although in terms of playing quality, we may have a little bit of a gap between what we do and what they do. And also, you don't get better armchair sports critics than any of us. So when any of them misses a shot, there's hundreds of us here saying this is what you should have done. But in all seriousness, I think at IIT Madras, we take sports very seriously. We realize that physical and mental health and well-being go together. And from that perspective, it's very important that we have not only wonderful facilities for our students to use, but also programs that incentivize and encourage our students to use these facilities. And so we're very proud to have this new sports facility and are thrilled to be able to inaugurate it. This facility has come together through a generous donation from our alumni. And I think IIT Madras, again, is very, very uniquely positioned in having an extraordinary amount of goodwill and support from its alumni. And at the moment, in greater amounts than at any other IIT in the country. And because of the generous support of our alumni, we're able to build wonderful infrastructure. We're able to run a variety of programs, support a lot of research. And so we'd really like to thank not only the alumni who have supported the development of this complex, but also alumni who have also supported IIT Madras's activities. And there is one of the reasons that we continue to be #1 in the NIRF National Institutional Ranking Framework is also because of the support of our alumni. So with that, welcome once again, and we'll look forward to a very interesting panel discussion with our guests here. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. May I now request Professor V. Kamakoti, Director, IIT Madras, to address the gathering.
A very good evening to all of you, and hearty welcome, So, Manisha and Sharath, to IIT Madras. When I thought of the sports quota, I never dreamt that these things will come up. I think it's become a perfect synchronization. Now this sports facility, friends, is just a beginning. We'll have many more sports facilities, including a new swimming pool. We'll be closing the old one and we'll get a state-of-the-art swimming pool just adjacent to this. And we will consistently keep improving the quality of the facilities so that we move towards an international standards in terms of the courts, the equipments, and also the training. We are very committed. The Center for Excellence in Sports Science has come up. That also was something that I didn't plan when we were introducing the sports quota. And we do have 5 national champions amidst us, and I'm sure it's going to grow. I'm sure many of you who have not invested time in sports now will start playing, and you'll all start using this facility. I would like to see this facility completely full in all the evenings, and I'm also requesting Ashwin to bring in more national players and also more young students, young kids, young children who will be interested in playing and who have exceptional skills, so that our students get an opportunity to play against them and improve our standards. I'm sure we will be repeating our full general championship. Last year we won the general championship, and I'm sure we'll also be doing this year and many more years to come. So wishing you all the best, and I have great expectations, and I'm sure you will fulfill that in terms of usage of the center, and many, many more awards, and days are not far off that IIT Madras will have an Olympian as an alumnus. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. I now call upon Mr. V. Shankar, Chairperson, IIT Madras Alumni Charitable Trust, to address the gathering.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. Everybody has welcomed you, but I want to thank you for taking the time out to come here. I think it is an inspiration to have people of your caliber to come and talk to the students here. So I want to give a brief alumnus perspective on this, on the transition. You know, I belong to the class of 1981. to give you an idea of what things were like, in my third year, I got a calculator as a present. Until then, we were using log tables and slide rules. We came back for our 25th reunion in 2006. And when we came, then that was when computers, LANs had just been introduced in the hostel zone. And we were quite shocked, all of us who came, to see students just sitting in the rooms, playing computer games or watching movies or whatever, hardly any socialization. So we wanted to figure out how to get guys out and talk to each other instead of sitting in their rooms. And that is when we came up with the idea of, who can tell me, something which is a very big deal today, C5. Our batch seeded the idea of C5, which is now the root of all entrepreneurship-based activity in IIT and the research part. Now, since that started, I live in Chennai, so I come here quite often. I have been noticing that entrepreneurship has taken off in a really big way. And the seed for that was the original C5, which has grown massively by now. But, so you have academics and you have entrepreneurship. That missing piece, which is sport. We are trying to figure out why sport is given not that much of a weightage amongst students. And we figured possibly lack of facilities may be a reason. So this facility is a wonderful one because it gives you that bandwidth to engage more students in sport. And one of the thoughts is that we can bring in national sportsmen to maybe play with you guys or play amongst themselves. You can just absorb the learning. So all in all, I think having new sports facilities, having a sports quota, all these things are massively important to creating a well-rounded output from this institute. I know you guys are very good academically. You will be good entrepreneurs if you so choose. But playing a sport helps you a lot in your future life because it teaches you teamworking. It gives you something to vent out on when you are, perhaps not doing so well in your exams and so on. So I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled that this facility has been inaugurated, and I hope all of you use it to its fullest. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, we will have the most awaited panel discussion for the day, the role of IITs in advancing India's sporting achievements, moderated by Professor Ashwin Mahalingam, Dean, Alumni and Corporate Relations. May I request the panelists, Ms. Manisha, Mr. Somdev, and Mr. Sharat to remain seated on stage. Let's engage in an insightful conversation on how IITs can contribute to India's sporting excellence.
Hello.
Check.
Hello? Okay. Okay. Everyone at the back, can you guys hear me? Okay. All right. Good. So, and you guys can hear me as well. Okay. So, first of all, welcome again. Thank you for coming. I don't think our panelists need much of an introduction, but let me just quickly introduce them anyway. We have to my far right, Sharat Kamal, who for a long time has been India's #1 table tennis player. He's been a constant fixture in the top 50 in the world for years now. And has represented India in the Olympics 5 times. I mean, think about going to the Olympics once, he's been there 5 times. So, absolute, possibly the best ever table tennis player that India has produced. Next to Sharat, we have my new favorite sports person, Manisha Ramdas. Manisha, as she was introduced, just won the bronze at the Paralympic Games in Paris. So she's an Olympic medalist. but she also won the gold medal at the World Championships, right? So she's the world champion right now, and she's ranked number 2 in the world. So Manisha is, and it's not going to be very long before she is number 1. So I think very clear. And then closest to me is a good friend, Somdev Devarman. Som, again, was a tennis player, ranked again in the top 100. In the last couple of decades, people have been trying but haven't been able to get close to his world ranking yet. And he also represented India in the Olympics, but has also played with Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, all of these guys. All right. So if you guys ever wanted to meet Federer or Nadal, you're one step removed now. So, all right. So we've got 3 Olympians, 3 sports persons who are at the pinnacle of what are essentially globally popular sports. And what I'm going to try to do over the next half an hour or so is to talk to them a little bit about their sport, but also what's happening in India and what we can do as a community at IIT Madras to help. So my first question to all of you, can you tell us a little bit about your journey as a sports person? When did it start? When did you know that this was the path for you, and how did your journey evolve? Sharath, we'll start with you.
Yeah. Firstly, thank you for having me over, IIT Madras. It's always a pleasure coming back. So, I started the sport at a very young age of 4. My dad and uncle are my coaches. So they put me into table tennis. So when people ask me, what if not a table tennis player? I said, I didn't have an option. I played the sport at a very young age. And by the age of 8, 9, I grew a strong liking to the sport. And my coach, the junior coach back then, he's sitting here in the crowd, Mr. C. Anas. Please stand up. So he's been like my caretaker, my coach, everything. So they have been, sources of inspiration for me to pick up the sport. And by the age of 14, when I was in my 10th standard, I had to decide sport or education. Especially from the south of India, there's more push into the engineering side, the sport, the academic side. So, but my parents let me decide what I wanted to do, and I wanted to play the sport professionally, and they backed the decision. Of course, it was very, very tough at that point in time to make the society understand that I play just sport as a profession. Even when I got married, my father-in-law asked me, what do you do for a living? So that's how I was introduced into the sport. But I was quite a late bloomer. I played for India only by the time I was 19, 20 years old. So I started the sport at the age of 4, but I started shining at the national level only by 19. And by 21, I went on to become the first Indian to win a Commonwealth gold medal and played my first Olympic Games in 2004. And since then, it's been a fantastic journey. Looking back at it, there's really been no regret onto, I just wish I did that or did this. I'm really happy after the Commonwealth Games that happened. Of course, 2006, I won my first gold. 2022, went on to win 3 golds, 1 silver. At the Asian Games in 2018, first time in 60 years, India gets a medal, and I get 2 bronze medals there, 1 in the team, 1 in the mixed doubles. So, finishing it off with being the flag bearer at Paris Olympic Games, I think that's been a great journey for myself. So, through the journey, there have been a lot of people who have helped me score this height. But I think without the support of family, especially my wife and kids, parents did it because I'm the kid, But wife, who had nothing to do with the sport, coming into my family and supporting what I'm doing, and also the kids going through the sacrifice, I think I am what I am today because of them.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Sharat. Manisha, and by the way, Manisha, you're 20, 19, how old? Yeah, so she's 19 and most of the students here are about your age, right? So they'll probably relate to you a lot better. So tell us about your journey.
Hello. Okay. Hi. So I started playing badminton at age of 9, 10 around. And I started because of Saina Nehwal, who was my inspiration at that time. And also my dad wanted me to start some sport because during my school days I used to participate in lot of sports, and my teachers encouraged my dad to take some sport to play. They said I might have some future in sports, and that's how I came into badminton. And then my dad started to spend his time on me for travel, practice, everything. And even he left his job to travel with me. So, and then I played my first tournament after 2 years of training, and it was loss. Yeah, first tournament, and for few years, first 2-3 years, I never won any title. Later on, I started winning some small title like district and state. In 2019, I got to know about para, and I played my first state and I won. So that's I got to know about para due my friend, coach's friend, who introduced me to para badminton. And I played my first nationals in 2021. So I won 2 golds there, which gave me opportunity to represent our country internationally. In 2022, I participated in my first international, and my dad struggled a lot to send me because he even left his job and we had no sponsors at that time. So and even in my first international, it was held in Spain, in Europe, and it was obviously expensive. And I was in the mindset that I just wanted to give my best, and I had no expectations on myself because I didn't know my opponent and I was very new. But I came back with 2 golds and 1 bronze. And as soon as I returned home, OGQ came. They started supporting me, and it was a huge turn in my career, which allowed me to continue playing all the international that year. And in the same year, I became world number 1 in both singles and doubles. It was an unforgettable moment for me. And same year, I won world championship as well, and become a youngest ever player to win a world championship title across sports. And I'm really proud about it. So, and I also won BWF Awards World for being a player of the year. So, followed by my Paralympic cycle started, and I got selected for Paris. And it was very new experience for me, having only 2 years of international experience, and I was very nervous. And 2 weeks before Paris, I couldn't train properly. I was so thinking about what will happen in Paris, how will I perform. I was literally crying during my practice sessions. But I was ready for all the big opponents I was going to face due to my coach, Umendra Rana sir. I will give all my credits to him for supporting me throughout Paris, till Paris. And I had one of the toughest draw. and winning all these against this French, and even though I lost against Chinese, I had chance to qualify for knockouts and winning bronze and becoming a first Indian shuttler to bag a medal in Paralympics. Really happy, and I'm very proud to sit in front of these two legends of Indian sports. And thank you so much for inviting me here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you, Sharad. Thank you, Manisha. First of all, it's so humbling to be sitting over here in front of so many brilliant minds, but also brilliant athletes. I think Sharad started playing before I started playing tennis professionally. Sharad was already on the tour for 6 years. I played for close to a decade. I retired. I started a new job. I started doing commentary and analysis, and I was doing it on Sharad, who was still playing. And now I've finished 3 Olympics of TV coverage, and Sharad is still playing. So it's true. 2016, I retired. I did the Olympics then, covered him there, covered him in Tokyo, and this time covered him again. And this time he was a flag bearer. And while Sharad is amazing, I'm sitting next to a 19-year-old who's won a medal at the Olympics in India. That is absolutely unbelievable. I hope you guys heard her story. After COVID, she won her first national championship. 3 years later, she's winning a bronze medal. She's still a teenager. Do you guys see the same vision that Sharad and I are seeing over here in the next few Olympics? That don't forget the name, Manisha Ramdas. She's a very, very, very special athlete. Lovely to see her get success. Lovely to see OGQ back her. I'm sure many more people will back her. But more than anything else, just lovely to be around a young champion. Myself, I'm just humbled to be here, guys, once again. Honestly, I grew up in Chennai. And I played over here till the 12th standard. The one of the things I definitely did not think I was ever going to do was talk to a bunch of people that were in engineering. So I guess something must have happened along the way that I'm here. But you know, it's been a crazy journey. I never expected any of this. I just went into it because I enjoyed it, and my parents backed me. I was lucky enough for that. And along the way, had some great opportunities to play against all-time greats, like you mentioned. Played Roger at the French, played Novak, played Rafa, played Murray a couple times, played, you know, the big events, represented India, and whatever the other stuff that happened, I feel like it's just luck. A lot of it I put down to luck, being at the right place at the right time, working hard. You said putting yourself in an opportunity to win. I felt like that's what I was always trying to do with my tennis. And ultimately, I think, you know, I've come back to Chennai after living 12 years in the States, training, finishing, coming back. And it's just very, very humbling once again to be here. So thank you, Ashwin, for inviting me. And I'm really looking forward to the rest of this chat because I know that our answers will be scrutinized by all the smart people in the audience.
Thanks, Om. So that was the easy 2-mark question. Now we'll get to some slightly more difficult, challenging questions. You know, sport at the level that you guys play is partly physical, but a large part of it is mental, right? And that's, I think, a part of the sport that we don't really see or read so much about. So, but it's very important to what we are trying to do here, because for us, sport is all about balancing physical and mental well-being. So could you talk a little bit about the mental aspect of sport as you play, and what do you do to get better? I mean, I know you practice to get better at the physical aspects of it. What do you do to get better at the mental aspects of sport, and do you then translate that into life as well? So, Sharad, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So, what I believe is sport is a way of life, is a part of life, is a way of life. Not everybody can become champions, not everybody can compete at the highest level. But sport teaches you a lot of attributes which are very, very valuable in day-to-day life. Simple, people keep talking about dedication, discipline, commitment, and all of these, difficult stuff, which as a kid I also didn't understand. But something which sport has taught me very well is to handle success and failure equally. Not to look at them as two different results in your life, because all of us are working hard. I'm working 8 hours a day, Som is working 8 hours a day, you're working 8 hours a day. All of us have 24 hours in a day. In those 8 hours of work, not every time I'm going to face success. And there's as the human brain looks for failure more. You could have 10 good shots and hit a bad shot on the 11th one. Your brain is looking at the 11th one. You forget those 10 good shots. And that in sport, through sport, you're able to channelize on what's important, what's not important, what you can let go, and what you need to hang on onto. And proceed ahead. Try to get better of yourself. See, and in sport, it's very competitive. Life is very competitive. And sport teaches you how to take that competitiveness in a very sporting way. You win some, you lose some, but end of it, how do you handle yourself, collect yourself, go out into, the next part. So I think that's something which I've learned very well in my career, and that is one of the main reasons why I would tell young kids to pick up sports, to have a healthy body and a healthy mind. Elite sport is injurious to both body and mind. It's very hard, both physically and mentally. But playing sport as a hobby, as a passion, keeps you both healthy in body and mind.
Thanks, Sharat. Manisha, you're 19, okay, and you're playing at these tournaments like the Paralympic Games, like the World Championships, in these big arenas. There's got to be a lot of pressure. You get to these points at these games where it could go either way. How do you handle that kind of pressure, and how do you sort of see yourself improving the mental aspect of your game?
So, before every big tournaments, there are so many days I felt like I'm so tired, I can't go for training, and I will be mentally very low, that I will feel like, what is this? I have to train again and again. But every time I feel this, I will also imagine that holding gold in the podium, and I will be feeling how happy I will be when winning the gold, so that I can push myself to win that gold. And once it comes true, it's the amazing feeling. And as of badminton, mentally we need to be strong, because I used to be the person who will be a desperate for this point. I want this point within 1-2 strokes, and I was like that. But later on, I worked with my psychologist, and she always give me some solution. Like whenever I'm in down, whenever I'm lagging out at some point, she always says me to stand on my toes and don't give up at any point. And also, I should not show my frustrated face or sad face to my opponent, so that I can't let my opponent read my body language. I want always to be strong. And so, which always key point for me to achieve something. And also meditation and yoga is one of the main reason to being calm, because I always used to get frustrated very easily after losing some points. But I have come long way, because before 2-3 years back I was like nowhere, and even mentally I was not at all. I'm very weak. I used to think of losing lot, what if I lose? But when I started thinking that what if I win, that's where the point is, that's where I can push myself to even achieve more. And that's how I think I won my bronze in my first Paralympics. Thank you.
Thanks, thanks a lot, Manisha. So, just to again pick up from what both Sharath and Manisha have said, as an elite sports person, even as an elite sports person, you lose quite a bit. You probably lose as much as you win, perhaps even lose more than you win, but you still have to wake up the next morning. How did you deal with all of that when you were playing?
Exactly, great point. I think one of the misconceptions you have about professional sport is about how glamorous the life is. And, Sharath and I were talking earlier just before coming in. I played about 35 tournaments in a season, which is 35 weeks in a season. And generally, every week, there's only one person that doesn't lose. And that person is usually either Nadal or Djokovic or Federer when I played. So, in all likelihood, you used to go to a tournament and you used to lose at some point. So the question became very simple. It's, Sharath said it right. How do you treat wins and losses exactly the same way? Manisha said something as well. When you go down and you feel like you don't want to wake up the next morning and go to train, how do you find the will to get up? And now that I'm far removed from professional tennis as a player, now I'm a coach. So one of the things I find myself telling the kids that I coach, including Sumit Nagal, or, it could be a 14-year-old, it could be an 18-year-old, it could be a professional, is, how do you, the most normal thing in professional sports is, you'll see, because you're so invested in it, because you've put in all those hours of work and those mornings and, all of those things, you tend to get emotional. And the best players in the best sports, they keep emotion completely aside. So it's just about being brutally honest. How was your performance? What did I do well? What do I need to do better? Keep it completely emotion-free, almost in a sense, even while playing. And the best in the world can do it while playing. And the big reason is, we always say, you make better decisions when you're not too emotionally, either too angry or too happy or too sad or too upset. You'll end up making better decisions which will put you in a better position to win, which will give you a better chance in the long run of your career if you find a way to be even-keeled. So that's one of the things that we work on a lot as tennis players, as coaches, and even now with kids, is trying to keep that, seeing the importance of being even-keeled even under pressure.
Yeah, thanks. So one of the things I think I'd like to take away from that round of responses is one of the reasons I think all of us should make the best use of the Sitara Sports Complex is not so much to learn how to win, but actually to learn how to lose, right? And how to sort of recover from losing and so on. So I think this is very important. I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. Even students at IIT get very anxious and tense when the placement season comes in, when the exam season comes in. But you guys were writing exams for 35 weeks in a year, day after day, right? And, at all of these kinds of events. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that. Want to get a little bit into where Indian sport is heading and a little bit into what IIT can do. It just seems to me that we're at the cusp of actually emerging as a sporting nation. I was just doing my research. It looks like we have about half a dozen men players in the top 100 at the moment. Again, badminton, we've got not only Saina and Sanya, but also, Sindhu, and a few people on the men's side as well. We've got some exciting young talent coming through in tennis. So where do you guys see Indian sport heading, and what are some of the bottlenecks that you see that we would still need to resolve as a society?
So, sport in India, I would say, is looked at the outlook on sport in the community as a professional sector has been in the last, let's say, 7 to 8 years, especially after Abhinav Bindra won the gold medal in 2012, the IPL coming in and many franchisee-based leagues coming in. And slowly, over the period, Sindhu winning, Saina winning gold medals, people started to understand that sport is a professional industry, and it's no longer a co-curricular activity or an extracurricular activity. It's part of the curriculum. So that's something which the mindset had changed on the outlook of Indian sport. So I think now, in the current scenario, I feel like where Indian sport needs to, we are doing well as individuals with the kind of support that we have from people around us. There are some NGOs who are helping us. The government is helping a little bit. The coaches and the ecosystem is helping us a little bit do well as individuals. But I think as a society to do well in sport, the most important thing is infrastructure. We need places like this across the cities, across smaller towns, where people, younger kids, are able to come out and express their talent in sport. And once we are able to have a wider base of the pyramid, then the top is higher. At the moment, we are still, very few people are able to have the access to sport. So I think that's something which sport infra is something which India will have to improve. And the second part where I feel, especially IIT Madras or any of these bigger institutions can help us on the technical side. Technical sports tech is something which India is far behind, where the Western world or the Orientals are at least 30 years ahead. When you look at the Last Dance, where Michael Jordan's documentary on Netflix, he's had a fitness coach, and in a team sport, he's had a personal fitness coach in the early 80s. And we are getting into sports science support only in the recent times. So that's something where we can fast track our growth into, and that is something where we would like to reach out to institutions like IIT Madras to help Indian sport.
Yeah, thanks. So infrastructure was one, and then just better understanding of sports sciences is another. And I think that's critical also because sports sciences for the Indian physiology might be very different from sports sciences for other kinds of physiology. So I think there's some local work that we have to do. Manisha, I know you're just starting off. You've got several years ahead of you. So I'm going to ask you a simpler question along those lines. What are a couple of things that if you had, you would think would propel you into being number one in the world and a gold medalist at the next Paralympic Games?
So first of all, I would say support. I think many of them don't know what is para sports, and very less people promote para sports. And first I will say promoting. Secondly, for wheelchair athletes, they won't get proper wheelchairs in India. Every time they have to go and buy from Japan or these foreign countries. In India, there is no manufacturing for sports wheelchairs. which is really difficult for the athletes who are starting, wheelchair athletes who are starting the sports, and it's very expensive. It will be useful if there is any budget-based wheelchair manufacturing in India. It will be very useful for upcoming athletes who want to take sports, wheelchair sports. And thirdly, I will say about badminton. If there is an app which will record our activities. So in badminton, we have so many movements, front, side, back courts. We have to cover all. Maybe the app might measure our activity, which part we are moving fast, which part we are lagging behind. It will be useful for us to improve on such basis with these kind of app. Or yeah, nowadays the technologies are improving, but still I feel like there can be more like these apps, and also in para sports, like I said, wheelchair, and yeah.
Thanks, Manisha. And I just wanted to sort of add on. You started off by saying people didn't have enough of an awareness about para sports and what that was about. So I think that's certainly something that we have to build more awareness on. But also, because you're a woman playing sport, generally I find that we don't have as many women or girls taking to sports as we have boys. I mean, tennis, which I know a little bit of, the quality disparity between the boys' tournaments and the girls' tournaments are quite wide. So I'm really hoping that people like you will be able to inspire the next generation of girls to come out and actually take to sports in the way that we're seeing boys do it. So looking forward to that. So yeah. So you're coaching now this new breed of tennis players that are coming up. There seems to be a lot of promise, but we've said that earlier as well. So what could we do differently this time around to sort of see if some of these kids could actually make it all the way up to the top?
I mean, it's first of all, it's incredible because you just look at the impact that tech has had on sport in the last 15 years. It's everywhere you look. Whether it's, if anybody followed the football matches last night, there's VAR, there's goal line technology. Right now, every player is wearing those bands over here, which, or Whoop watches. We're wearing Garmin watches, so we follow our runs and our walks or whatever it is, our activities. On tennis, there's Hawkeye. Table tennis, the amount of spin that you generate and the top that you generate versus the slice. All of this is through technology. In tennis, believe it or not, we were talking about in the 80s where Michael Jordan just got his fitness coach. Now, if you look at the top players, the Sinners and Alcarazes and Holger Runers, these guys have stats, people that are only there for stats. I mean, we all know the majors. We follow Wimbledon or the French Open or the US Open. And you'll notice that the app is completely handled by, let's say, Infosys. Infosys is big into tennis. All of the data that's driven in from the tennis court is analyzed by Infosys and given you an answer of how much percentage of second serves, returns, points won, or on this court versus that court. What these stats guys for the players actually do is exactly what you were talking about, is they'll tell you exactly where your mistakes are coming from, how often they're coming. Let's say your fitness is not good enough and, you start getting tired mentally or physically after the 90-minute mark or the 2-hour mark. The stats will immediately come and it'll be glaring enough to you after you see it for 10 matches or 12 matches. So there's several different ways in which tech is already being used in sport. And I think moving forward, this is probably a question for you, for all of IIT. How is AI and tech together actually going to change the way sport is viewed and hence the way sport is played? Because now the way sport was played 40 years ago is completely different. It's much more a science now. It's much more an understanding of why am I hitting the ball there, understanding the risk reward in, split second, and then knowing at the back of your mind that these are the percentage plays. So overall, I just think that it's an exciting time for sports. And like you said, while, the Indians would be very good at certain things, I do think that blending sport with tech should be one of the places where we are world leaders. And I do believe that we can get there through IIT Madras.
So, thanks. So, yeah, we do have a Center for Sports Science here as well. And, we'll talk later about how all of you can help us with your sporting knowledge coupled with what we can do with regards to technology. Great. So I'm just going to wind this down a little bit with a few quick questions, not too serious. So Manisha, when you're not playing badminton, what do you like doing? When you're not playing badminton, what do you like doing?
She's a BTech student.
BBA.
BBA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, I would studies. I would like to eat and sleep a lot.
Okay.
And I prefer to be inside the room and sleep than going out and partying. Because as a sports person, I'll be always tired and I won't feel like going around out anywhere. But if I have some good break, of course I will be with my family and I will enjoy my time with them, going out and having some fun.
Yeah, so Manisha, the liking to eat and sleep qualifies you to come here to IIT Madras. So, yeah. So, Som, if you weren't a tennis player, what do you think you'd be?
I would have loved to be a musician because I'm just surrounded by good musicians in the Northeast. But who knows? I would have also maybe loved to be a footballer. I would have loved to maybe be I don't know. Incidentally, the first sport that I ever got coached in was badminton. But this was when I was very, very, very young. So, I mean, I really don't know. But I would like to imagine either a sports person or a musician.
Yeah. So Som's actually a decent guitarist. Bass guitarist, lead guitarist?
Yeah, I play. I write my own songs.
So okay.
Singer-songwriter.
So composer, guitarist, so multi-talented. So Sharath, in between tournaments, how do you dial down?
It's actually quite tough to wind down because you're traveling from tournament to tournament thinking about, okay, I finished this week, I lost, I won, what do I do next? Stuff like that. So table tennis is always on the mind. It's really tough to unwind. So my best way to unwind is I like to explore the cities. I like to go out, but I don't like to do it alone. So I need some company. So I'm always looking out for somebody from the team or somebody who can just step out with me, get into the city, just walk around, have a good meal, or just spend some time around. So that's something which I really like to explore and do. And as I think as players or as athletes, we are most of the time on tour. So we need to figure out ways how we are able to unwind, just give ourselves that break and get back on.
Great. Thanks. So we have this Inter-IIT Sports Championship coming up. It happens every year. So this will happen in December. And as far as we in IIT are concerned, you've got the World Championships here, the Olympics here, and the Inter-IIT is here. Okay? Nothing could be more important. Most of the students here are part of some Inter-IIT sports contingent or the other, tennis, football, table tennis, whatever. Quick word of advice for them for this year's championship.
Sorry. Quick word
of advice for the youngsters.
I thought they were going to ask some questions. Yeah. All that I can say is don't be too hard on yourself, because I think we are still learning how not to be hard on ourselves when things don't go right. And yeah, we fail sometimes, we win sometimes, but what matters most is the effort that we put in. So never feel that you could, once the tournament is over, never regret that maybe I should have put in a little bit more in terms of preparation. That goes for sport and for your exams and basically life lessons that I've learned from sport.
Thanks. So Manisha, from one 19-year-old to a bunch of other 19-year-olds, what would you like to tell them?
So, always remember to have fun, enjoy the sport, whatever you are playing. And as he said, don't be hard on yourself because sports is all about fun. So, have fun and all the best to all the participants.
Thanks so much. Yeah, Som.
They said all the good stuff. No, I mean, I think all of you guys should first of all feel super fortunate, because if I was in a campus that is honestly one of the most beautiful campuses of pretty much any colleges that I've seen, it's just an incredible feeling for me every time I drive into IIT, whether it's the monkeys or the deer or the black buck or the peacocks, or I mean, I feel like I feel like I'm in a very special place every time I walk in here. Is it true that it's a couple degrees cooler always in IIT versus the rest of Chennai?
Yeah, it is cooler.
Yeah.
Exact.
So I mean, first thing I would say is, just embrace the place that you're in, because it's incredibly special. The fact that you guys are around an environment that encourages you to go out there, do things, whether it's a fest or whether it's sports or whether it's, being innovative with things, being bright with your ideas. I think that you guys are very lucky to be in a place where people are encouraging you to do things. So always go out there, do things, have fun, fail, learn how to fail better, and continue to come at it. And like everybody said, be nice to yourself. I think that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. We just have a few minutes left, so I'd like to invite 2 questions from the audience before we close the panel discussion. So 2 enterprising students with questions. Just raise your hands and we'll, yeah. Yep. You want to stand up so we can see you and you can...
Would you like to come to the tennis court, the other tennis court, to play with the women's tennis team?
Sorry, we're not
Somdev.
Not able to hear you clearly. I don't know. Were you able to hear the question?
Yes, I would like to come and play tennis with you.
All right.
Let's do it. Okay. Easy question.
Okay, we have time for one more question. There's a hand up here.
Hi, I just want to ask if there was any point in your life where you felt like quitting the sport. I mean, it has been very challenging, the support system is also like not that good in India, especially Sharad sir, you started in 2004, and now at least we have facilities and stuff, but back 20 years back, it had been very difficult. Was there any point you felt like, okay, I should just step back, but something happened and you decided to move further?
Yeah, so I think the question, if I heard it correctly, was at any point of time did you feel like quitting the sport? And I think we should leave Manisha out of it. She's still...
That's a great question. I'm sure you have stories.
On the upward trajectory, but both of you probably have
After every second practice, you feel like quitting. Damn, it's not coming, it's not working. Am I in the wrong sport? Am I doing things right? There have been days, there have been really rough days when you've been losing. I had a rough patch around 2012 when I didn't qualify for the Olympic Games. So I played 2004, 2008, 2016, 2021, 24. I missed 12.
Okay.
At that point in time, I wanted to quit, but I'm happy that I didn't quit back then, so I could have all that I had now. So, of course, you do run through those rough days, but it's about how you keep working constantly ahead. And thanks to people around me, my coaches, my family, my my friends who believed more than what I believed in myself.
That's great. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, Manisha, although I said we should ignore you, I just want to know, have you had these frustrations as well? Felt like quitting?
So, yeah, even I thought when I used to get punishment for losing matches during training sessions or doing some errors, I have to run this many rounds and all. I feel like, what is this silly thing? I don't want to play this sport anymore. I used to feel like quitting. But thankfully, I never did. And I also know I will never quit playing because as much as I hate this sport, I also love this sport at the same amount. So, yeah.
Som, do you ever feel like quitting?
Feel like quitting. Yeah, it gets tough, no? Honestly, it gets tough from time to time. You know, I think the hardest thing to do is completely be brutally honest with yourself about what you could have done better and what you did well, and to actually gauge your progress not with a win and a loss. Sometimes, for example, the losses that hurt the most, you know, 7-6 in the third set after 3 hours, and you come out of that match and you know, you're stuck somewhere in Russia or Kazakhstan, far away from home, or in China, and you're just alone by yourself, looking up and saying, man, I was 1 point away from being in the final, or 1 point away from a medal, or something like that. And I felt like the toughest thing to do at that point was to just go on with it the next day. But as a professional, you just realize that you know, you have to treat victory and defeat the same. You have to be objective about your performances. You have to be objective about the way things are going, and you have to trust the process to a certain degree. So it has been hard. The roads have been challenging many a times. I mean, I remember when I was your age. I know this. I'm, 20 years ago, when I was your age, I was at a tournament in America for the first time in my life, and I thought I was a big shot. I thought I'd already made it. This is just when I finished high school in Chennai, and I went to that tournament with $1,000, which at the time I thought was a lot of money. Within 4 days, I was left with $100, and that's when you really realize, how much. What are the things that you will actually be willing to do for this sport? And what are the things that are actually required, and what are the things that are actually important? So there's been several times that I've wanted to quit, but somehow you just come back to practice the next day, and then you forget about the bad moments. You focus on the vision that you have, the way you want to play, and then let time do its thing.
Thanks, Som. I think that's a wonderful note on which we should conclude this panel discussion, this sort of never say die attitude, this professionalism of coming back the next day, irrespective of what the result the previous day was, and sort of putting one foot in front of the other. So thank you so much to all three of you for taking the time. I think we learned a bunch of things today. I think we got some insights into the life of an elite sports person playing at the highest levels. I really enjoyed a little bit of the philosophical discussion of winning and losing and frustrations and how that relates to life. And I think you guys all gave some absolutely invaluable suggestions on what a place like IIT Madras could do to help India's sporting prospects. So again, thank you so much for taking the time. So ladies and gentlemen, Sharat Kamal, Manisha Ramdas and Somdev Devvarma.
Thank you, panelists, for your valuable insights and expertise. Your discussion has provided us with deeper understanding of the potential synergies between technology, education, and sports. We appreciate the thoughtful questions and engaging dialogue moderated by Professor Ashwin Mahalingam. Thank you. May I now request Professor Kamakoti and Mr. V. Shankar to please come on the stage as well, please. I invite Professor Kamakoti and Professor Ashwin Mahalingam to felicitate Ms. Manisha Ramdas with a memento and an Angavastram. May I request Professor Kamakoti and Professor Ashwin to felicitate Mr. Somdev Devarman with a memento and Angavastram. I request Professor Kamakoti and Professor Ashwin to please felicitate Mr. Sharath Kamal with a memento and Angavastram. We would also like to acknowledge and felicitate the core teams who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this sports complex a reality. Their dedication, expertise, and commitment have ensured the timely completion of the state-of-the-art facility. Please join us in appreciating their efforts. I invite Professor Kamakoti and Professor Ashwin to please felicitate the following teams with a memento. Institute Engineering Unit, Institute Gymkhana, Padma Shri Architect C.N. Raghavendran, Managing Director, C.R. Narayana Rao Architects. Contractor of the building, Mr. N.K. Nandagopal, Managing Director, Teamage Builders Private Limited. Third-party quality assurance, Mr. Kavin Kumar Shanmugam, Managing Director, EPMCR Private Limited. Mr. Christopher Anas, TT coach. Under his exceptional coaching, both the men and women's team won the TT championship in the Inter IIT 2023. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I would now like to welcome on stage Mohammad Owais Siddiq, Institute Sports Secretary, IIT Madras, to share his experiences as a sports person in IIT Madras.
I am truly honored to have this opportunity to express my gratitude on this occasion. First and foremost, a heartfelt thank to our esteemed alumnus whose generous donation has gifted us a remarkable Sitara indoor sports complex. This state-of-art facility, both beautiful and built to professional standards, has already become a central part of a campus. It's inspiring to see a sports contingent make the most of it as they train and prepare for the upcoming Inter-IIT sports meet. And the last year, we won the 24th General Championship, and this year we determined to retain it. And the complex is truly helping a contingent to gear up for the competition, giving them a resource they need to excel. With IIT Madras hosting Inter-IIT next year, this complex will be invaluable not only for our athletes, but also as a premier venue to welcome and support teams across IIT community. Beyond the contingent, this facility has also become a vibrant hub for a general student body, always buzzing with players and activity. We are deeply grateful to our director for his vision and unwavering support, as well as our dean of student for his dedication to a student community. Thanks also to the ACR office and the engineering unit that worked tirelessly to make this project into reality. We are immensely grateful to everyone who played a role in making the Sitara Indoor Sports Complex a part of our campus. We are truly thankful for this incredible contribution and excited to see how it will continue to enrich our student experience and the future of sports in IIT Madras. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammad. I now invite Mr. Kaviraj Nair, CEO, Office of Institutional Advancement, IIT Madras, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Praveena, and thank you, everyone. What a wonderful evening this has been. People whom we have met on television channels are all here, sitting in front of us, talking to us, and giving us insights about the life journey and the sports journey. First and foremost of all, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to the esteemed alumnus who likes to remain anonymous and who has contributed to building of this sports facility. This is fabulous. There was nothing like this when we were doing our BTech in 95-99 batch time. Sincere gratitude to the panelists today, Ms. Manisha, Mr. Somdev, and Mr. Sharad Kamal, who all have graced the occasion with their presence and have shared their insights with all of us. Thank you so much. And from IIT Madras side, our gratitude to our Director, Professor Kamakoti, our Dean, Professor Ashwin Mahalingam, and then of course our Sports Advisor, Mr. Arul Prakash, and also to Mr. V. Shankar, who is the Chairperson of IIT Madras Alumni Charitable Trust. We would also like to put on record our gratitude to Padma Shri C.N. Raghavendra, Managing Director, C.R. Narayana Rao Architects, Contractor of the building, Mr. N.K. Nandagopal, Managing Director, Team Age Builders Private Limited, Mr. Kavin Kumar Shanmugam, Managing Director, EPMCR Private Limited, Institute Engineering Unit, which has tirelessly worked to make this happen, and the Institute Gymkhana, and all our student friends and my teammates from ACR office who has worked very hard to make this event happen. Thank you everyone, and hope you all have a great time and a great evening. Please join us for the tea afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaviraj. May I now request you all to please stand for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you all. The high tea will be served at the Sports Analytics Center on the same floor.